excited to have you in phase one. That's going to be a lot of fun. Mark and Susan, aloha. Let's see. Deidre, Julie, Trudy. We've got a lot of great people here. So a lot of fun. This will be recorded, so you'll be able to see the replay. And so just relax, have a good time, and ask questions. We're a small enough group that you should feel very comfortable just to unmute and ask a question. You can go to the chat box and ask a question there as well. So Tony, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Sweet. Awesome. And out here in the country, I live in the country of Arizona, and the last couple months they've been a little bit tricky in terms of the internet service, and I don't know what's happened to them. So if it does break up for a little bit, somebody just let me know. If we wait about 30 seconds, it should come back and be strong and good to go. So I don't expect any big interruptions, but yeah, it's a lot of fun to have you here. I love doing real estate. It's a lot of fun. It's also very, very challenging, right? It's difficult. It's not an easy game to play. Now, once you know the steps aren't hard to understand, but learning how to do them and then dealing with the risk as you go forward can be a little bit tricky. We'll talk about that. You'll see some of the risk involved, some of the details involved as we go through each of the leads today. We'll be here about an hour. It's about where we'll be, unless you guys have a ton of questions, and then we'll be here just a little bit longer than that. But it should go fairly quickly. These are all deals. I did have to admit right up front, I did a little bit of false advertising because the third deal did not close out last week. Okay, two of them did, but the third one, you'll see the loan has not closed out. And so I haven't realized the profits yet. I realized the profits from the other two, but the loan is still out there. And I'll explain, we'll talk about that here in just a minute, how that works and how that plays out. Okay. But welcome really quickly, just a quick smattering of where everybody's from. I'm Northeastern Arizona. Where's everybody from? Just go to the chat real quick. Let's see how wide and far spread we are here. Rhode Island, Tony. I don't know that I've ever had anybody from Rhode Island. That's pretty cool. You are like my first. That's cool. Florida, Deidre. So good to see you. Renee's, Ohio, Massachusetts. We got Kansas, Oregon, Homestead, Florida, North Carolina. We got New York. We've got Massachusetts. Do we have anybody? Yeah. So Brenda and Tracy are both from Massachusetts. So I got two of you from there. I got that right. MA is Massachusetts, not Maine, right, Brenda? Isn't Maine MN? I think
ME.
something like that. Good. Okay. Well, what a great world that we live in, that we can have such a widespread group of people in one spot. So, and then of course we have the Philippines. Rose is here with us. She's the other Ammon Brimhall, and she makes a lot of this stuff happen. She does the technology stuff, makes sure the meeting goes. And so a huge thank you, huge shout out to Rose. We really, really appreciate her being here. Let me share my screen really quickly. I will do this let's see, share my screen. We'll get in here. There are a couple things as I share this with you that I need you to understand. And the first is that at Broccoli Real Estate, which is the company that I founded, that this is a part of right now, there's twofold. There's a twofold goal. They're kind of the same, but it's really a twofold goal, which is number one is really to create an educational platform that gets this information out into the world in a way that doesn't crush the public. Really, the way it's metered out today, the way it's taught, number one, it's so expensive that it really drives a lot of people into bankruptcy. Number two, it's not really realistically explained as to how do you really get to success. And so people are told to do way too much too fast, and so they burn out. And that's another reason that they're crushed. And so that's one of the goals, is to create really a space in which a great skill is put out there that doesn't crush people. And of course, the second is that I create a realistic training. It is not easy to flip a house. It is not easy to buy rentals. It is not easy to wholesale. A lot of people make it sound like it's really, really, really simple. The concepts are, right, Dan? You'll pick up the concepts in a heartbeat. But just like it's not easy to dunk a basketball, you've got a lot of training to do, and you've got to do a lot of jumping and stay in shape. It's the same thing with doing real estate. And so we're creating both an affordable and a realistic platform for people to get out there and actually begin to do deals. Now, it's important as I share these with you. Notice that my goal in Broccoli is to get you guys to do 1 to 3 deals every year. Now, my marketing said 3 deals in a week. Okay. I tend to do more than 3 deals a year. Okay, there are some years where I do 3 deals or less, but I tend to do more than 3 fairly regularly. Why do you suppose that I tend to do more than 3 deals per year? What's the logic behind my doing that?
Experience,
Yeah, thank you. Whoever said that.
knowledge.
Doing this a long time. Yep. I've been doing that a very long time. So for somebody like me, I understand it. I know the risks. I know how it works. The other reason is I do it almost full time. I coach and I do real estate full time, so I tend to do more. But the idea is that you succeed in life by taking small steps. Now, some people maybe they're going to blow up and do a lot of deals right away, but the advice here at Broccoli is look, let's just be consistent. Let's be steady. Let's step out there and let's start doing it one step at a time, right, Moses? That's the goal. Okay. So today's webinar, 1 week, 3 deals, 45K in profits, is a lot of fun just because I get to report to you some of the things I've been up to. A lot of times I don't share the deals that I'm doing. That's not always something I have out there in front of everybody, but it shows you guys what I'm doing, what you guys are able to accomplish, as you learn how to do these things, and it shows you the types of profits that are, that you can have in this kind of a business. It's a lot of fun. It's a good illustrative moment for you guys to see what's going on. So Santi asks if I have a team too. I do,
It's good
so
for heat gun for about 30 minutes.
Oh, okay. But you know what? I
yeah.
won't.
All right. Alejandro, hello. A few of you have popped in here and I haven't said hi to everybody. So, all right. So again, so you're in the right spot. If you ever want to get a hold of me, you go to ammon@broccolire.com. That would be my email. And then you can go to my website, www.broccolire.com. And I have a YouTube channel as well. You can find me there. Hola, gusto tenerle aquí. So in any case, you can reach out to me in those locations. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the 3 deals. And while we're talking about these 3 deals, I'm going to talk to you how it works. I'm going to explain in detail what it is that I do. So literally by the end of this, you could take what I've shared with you. You guys could literally go and do a deal. Okay. Now, the third part is how you learn how to do it. Obviously, as an educational company, I am a for-profit company. And so if you decide you need help practicing and learning the skills, I should put instead of how to learn how to do it, I should put how to, structure an organizational learning program so that you master the skills, right? Because again, I will show you everything you need to do today. You can go see replays on my Facebook pages, and it's all right there. So it's not like you need more information to do it. You just need more structured practice to get the skills to make it happen, okay? So you're gonna have a great time and we are going to move you forward. We're going to have a blast. Really quickly, I think everybody here knows me pretty well. So I think you all either heard me in Fortune Builders or Broccoli RE. Can everybody hear me okay right now? My
Yes.
sound okay? Excellent. Thank you guys. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, Tracy. All right, so I will do a super quick introduction. We don't need to spend a lot of time on this. The deals themselves will speak for it. Thank you, Deidre. Thank you, Renee. This is my family. So my daughter, she's 23. I've got a 21. My 20-year-old is not there. In this picture, he's actually in Bolivia. He is now back from Bolivia. But it's my beautiful family. That's what I love to do. I went fishing yesterday. This young man let the fish off the hook. Literally, I gave him the good fishing hole. He pulls it out and he doesn't have it totally hooked. It falls off the other side. And so he let me down yesterday. But other than that, he's an incredible young man. But hiked the Grand Canyon rim to rim 4 times, I think 5. I need to go back and recheck my stats,
Wow.
but that's the north. That's the north. That's the north rim right there. That burned down just a few weeks ago, which is really really sad. But I love to hike, love to travel. Before I was 19, I've been in 11 different countries. Thomas Sowell is absolutely my favorite author in the world. Just a phenomenal author. And I got into real estate really in my 20s by reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. I think it's a very common story. Talked about investing, talked about business. That's what got me into it. Had a blast, loved it. And then in my early 20s, I flipped a house right here at a park. I don't have an actual picture of it. All those years ago, we didn't have all the digital pictures, and I didn't copy them and paste them and have them in my digital pictures. But we bought a property for 40,000, put in 15, and then we sold it for $130,000. So our total profits were around 60 grand. That was after a year of work, you guys. So I did not come out as a prodigy. I did not come out as somebody who totally knew everything about real estate. It was actually very hard. I missed several deals because I didn't know what I was doing, but we got that deal done, moved on to others. My wife and I moved into this. This was my very first rental unit. This is the first house I owned and lived in that I owned. So my wife and I lived in that side while we fixed up both sides, and then we got it rented. Literally 18 years later, I sold it, put almost 400,000 in my pocket from that property, 1031 exchange it over into some other rentals. But the whole point in showing this is that, I'm 47 now. I've been doing this for over 20 years, both investing and teaching as well. So I've really had a good time doing it. It's a blast. I've literally coached thousands of people. I have created curriculum for Fortune 500 companies. I've trained speakers. I spoke at the largest real estate investment conference in Las Vegas 4 years in a row, and I just love doing what I do. That said, I went through that quickly because that just, again, establishes what we're doing, what's the purpose, what my qualifications are. But what we're here for today is for you. I'm here to show you how this works. This is the process that I use to do every one of these deals. And we're going to walk through each of these projects one by one, and I'll show you how I went through each of these steps. I'll show you how I found the project. I'll talk to you about how I did the desktop appraisal. I'll talk about the field analysis and how I entered into the contract. I'll talk about the due diligence. We'll talk about the closing. I'll walk you through this process. If you do not have this sheet and you want it, all you have to do is email me, ammon@broccoliRE.com. I will make sure you get a copy of this specific sheet, okay? Now, as you look at it, you've got to understand that for you to do this consistently, you have to not just know this sheet. It's not hard to learn this sheet. It just isn't. But the hard part is learning how to apply things here, right? The hard part is actually getting good at it. So for example, to do the deal analyzer, that's not hard to learn, right? But to do the deal analyzer, you have to do good comparables. To do the deal analyzer, you have to estimate proper repairs, okay? What happens to your ability to raise money if you don't believe your own numbers? What happens? Do you just become this amazing money magnet, or is it impossible to raise money if you don't even believe your own numbers?
Nearly impossible.
Nearly impossible. It's exactly right. Okay, it just shuts you down. However, if you feel confident in your numbers, it's quite the opposite. You can step up, Jimmy, and you can raise a lot of money because you feel confident in those numbers. Okay, thank you, Santi. Thank you, Keith. So the idea here is not just to know these steps, but to gain confidence in doing each of them so that you're effective in them and can move through them appropriately. Okay. So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to go over the rehab first. Okay. So we'll go over the rehab first, then we'll go over the wholesale, then we will go over the loan that we're involved in there. Okay. So these will be the three deals. So let's start out really quickly with a rehab. And really quickly, before I start into this actual rehab, what do you guys think? Do you think in the coming months it's going to be easier to do a rehab or trickier? What do you guys think? Easier or
Trickier.
trickier? Yeah, why do you
Trickier.
think?
Holidays and weather up here in the Northeast.
Weather. Okay, those are true. Why else?
Stock market.
Is the market a little weird right now? Do we have kind of a weird economic situation?
Yeah, it's going down.
Yeah, we have a really interesting space. I was listening to, I'll be sharing this on Thursday in the Unstoppable Real Estate Investor. But when we do market research, I will be I'll be talking about that. There are some people who think the market's going to keep going up. Some people are predicting it's going to crash like in 2008. There's a lot of different ideas out there. There's a lot of different market forces. So some of the economics that's been happening recently, like the government getting out of creating, disqualified loans, us getting trade agreements, things like that. There's some reasons to believe that economically we're headed into some better direction for sure. But there's a lot of unknowns out there for sure. There's no doubt about it. And so it's going to be a little trickier, but it still works. In a tricky market, in an easy market, the concepts remain the same. Okay. All right. Let's see if it'll give me. There we go. Okay. That right there is the updated house. And I'll show you the old pictures here. So this is the flip that even with our new trickier market, it's still possible to do. Okay, this is what it looked like when I purchased this property. Okay, this is what it looked like when I got done with it. I literally sold this, closed on it last week. Okay, so 825. There you go. Sold 825. That's the house. I grew up in this neighborhood. Okay, that's the house I grew up in right there. Okay. Oh, this hill right here, there's an orchard back here. Me and my brothers and sisters, we spent an entire spring break filling in trenches by hand. I don't know if you could see it, but there's like 300 yards of trench here that was like 4 feet deep. We filled it all with hand shovels. And I think all of our youth could probably use that experience, although I don't want to go through it again. In any case, this project right here, this is the house. I don't have, I didn't upload any of the pictures. Well, I could probably give some before, but there you go. Okay, notice it's a rural part of the country. This is not the city, right? That is our shopping center right there. That's it. That's the entire commercial section of my little area of the country, okay? But there you go. How do you guys like the antlers up there? Okay. I found those out shed hunting, so I put them up there as a prop. Okay. Marcus is like, you have a shopping center? Thanks, Mark. Okay, so here's the house. There's the house. Okay, now notice, did I go fully update on the cabinets? Are those brand new cabinets?
No,
They're not, are they? I just
no.
took the old cabinets and I refinished them. That's all I did. We put new hardware on there, and then we put new bearings in there for the drawers so they slide real smooth, but that's it. Okay, yeah, pretty much
Nice
just
view.
countertops. Now,
Those are beautiful.
go ahead, Tracy.
I'm sorry, those are beautiful.
Thank you. They turned out,
Countertops.
didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was an old oh, how come I can't think of what were the old lights called, guys? The ones that like
Skylight?
would, what's that?
A skylight?
No, it's the old bulbs, fluorescent. This was an old fluorescent set of light bulbs. Yeah, they were fluorescents. But we pulled those out, we put that wood in there, got a nice LED in there, looks really great. And yeah, I think the antlers do go with the decor. Like it worked out really, really well, right? That was actually there. That was with the home. I didn't have to put that in there. Okay. There you go. Now, if you look at this linoleum, you will find like here, there's little holes in it. I did not replace the linoleum. I did put new carpet in, but I did not replace the linoleum. Okay, so there's you find little dots with the linoleum. The door also, if you look at these doors, I'm with you. Stephanie's like, I meant the color of the cabinets. They go with the antlers. I agree. I think it was a good match. Look at the doors. Let's see if I can find a door here. Come here. See those doors? We didn't buy new doors. We just nailed that trim on there and then painted it. Okay, those are really old, the old style kind of hollow doors, really inexpensive from years and years and years ago. So we just nailed some trim on there and we painted it. Okay. Now, what do you guys think? Is this a high-end, expensive home, or is this kind of a kind of a lower-end home? What do you guys think? Dan's like, I want your antlers. I know. I've gone out 3 times and I found three antler sheds all 3 times. I have a friend that takes me. I think he's going to stop taking me because I've done too well. And maybe I should retire. Yeah, it's a lower end home, right? Obviously the kitchen is small. It's a smaller house, right? It's not a high end home. If it was a high end home, I would have put in nicer cabinets, right? If it was a high end home, I wouldn't have a tiny fridge. Well, there's no other room than for a tiny fridge there. If it was a high end home, I probably would have put it in granite or some other type of countertop. So you're right. This is a low end or mid-level home. Okay. So there you go. Okay. All right. So that's the house. Let's talk about some of the numbers. All right, and all I did, see these, we painted the countertops. We did not put new ones in there. That right there, I actually spent, guess how much that vanity cost? Anybody know how much that vanity might cost? Anybody know?
$50. No, I don't know.
That was almost a $300 vanity. Isn't that nuts? Okay. Now think about it for a second. Okay, this is not a very big bathroom, and the master has one as well. So I think it was more like $250. Okay, if you open this vanity up, it's beautiful mirror on the inside. Like it's really pretty on the inside too. Okay, now why do you suppose I spent that much money on a low-end home on such a nice vanity? And Stephanie asked if I kept the upgrade on the lower side to fit the neighborhood. Correct, Stephanie. To fit kind of who would be buying this in the neighborhood. Correct. Yeah. Sammy says for the ladies. Mark says, could I have a small bathroom?
Yeah,
Yeah, if I don't have, Go ahead.
Does it make the room look bigger?
It does make the home look bigger. That's a part of it. And what sells houses? Isn't it the kitchens and the bathrooms?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
kitchen
much
back.
so. Yep. Yeah, I didn't really have much I could really fancy this out with. I wasn't going to change out the vanities. I couldn't make them bigger. I wasn't going to do tile in here. I just wasn't going to do a lot. I mean, changing this out to the bronze was a good move. That was beautiful. But this right here just added a really cool level of class. If you walked in, you'd be like, wow, that's a really cool mirror. It's wide, it's bright, it's cool. And then you can open it up. So, you can do your hair. And then on the inside, it was also a mirror. So it felt really, really, really fancy. So I think I got my $500 worth of pizzazz and wow and bling, right? In a nicer home, I would have spent money elsewhere, but I thought, you know what? I mean, can you imagine the cheaper vanities? It just really would have changed the feel. So anyway, that was my kind of sizzle feature for this home, and it worked. Okay, so there you go. This toilet right here, this was a pain. It was all the way over against the vanity. When they did it, they actually did not. They put the pipe too far to the left, so we had to do a little bit of a jog out. But anyway, there's that mirror again there. Tony, I didn't put a shower curtain rod in these. Sometimes I will to stage it. I'll put a curtain rod and put bright colored shower curtains. But who can guess why I didn't do that in this house? Why didn't I do that?
Quick sale?
Okay, no, it actually took a while to sell, which I was okay with. I knew it might be. Mark's is a blank slate.
It might, yeah, that's a good idea, but it might make the bathroom look a little smaller.
That's it right there. Yeah, the color's nice. Santi's like ML cheapo. Thanks, Santi. Yeah, that was my biggest thing is the bathrooms felt small. So I didn't want to put color in there because it would have made it feel really small. I felt the white and the open was more important than the color. What do you guys think? Smart idea, bad idea? It worked, right?
Great, yeah.
Okay. All right, well, let's go to the paper here. Let's talk about this. So let's start out with this. Let's go back to the slides, okay? So anytime you're doing a deal, you have to find a seller. You've got to find somebody to sell you the property. And so, how did I find the seller? How did I do the analysis? Okay, how did I get the contract? And then my due diligence will walk through each of these steps as we talk about it, okay? So really quickly, first of all, how did I find it? How did I find it? This is one where, number one, I knew the neighbor. She was kind of by herself, and Christmas Eves, we would have kind of the people who had no family, we invited them over for Christmas Eve dinner. And so I knew her, but the real thing was that the agents in the area know me. All right. Now, when you hear me talk about and train you on how to do deals and how to find things, you will always hear me talking about how important it is to make offers in ways that do not offend everybody. Okay. Have you ever met an investor or had a trainer or a coach who says just go out there and lowball everybody? You ever heard that, Moses? Go out there, make a ton of offers, drop low offers, go, make a ton of offers. You ever heard that? They won't use the term lowball, but they'll just say go make a ton of offers. Okay. So Stephanie says no. Nobody else is saying yes. So maybe I'm the only guy that ever heard that. Okay. The idea is the agents know who I am and what I do. They know when I talk to them, I say, look, I do not want to make a low offer on a house if it doesn't make sense. If you have a house that has a mold issue, or if it has, foreclosure happening in a week, or it's got, a foundation issue going on, a bad tenant, if there's a reason, then let's make an offer because I have to get a low price. So I tell the agents, no low offers unless I can do something for their client. And then I teach the agents, hey, here's why I need a low price. Has anybody ever sat an agent down and explained to them how much it costs to flip a house? Anybody done that? I'd like everybody to answer on that. Jimmy, you've probably done it. I know you've done quite a few deals. Have you ever sat an agent down and explained? Not yet. It is so powerful when you show an agent why you have to make a low offer. You're like, look, I don't make a low offer because I want to be rude, right, Julie? I don't make a low offer because I want to offer less. I just have no other choice, right? I just don't have it. So the idea is by explaining it to them, guess what happens? They start to understand me. And if they understand me, does that make them like me more or like me less? Be
More.
careful, Santi. Be careful how you answer that. I know that was a setup. You're going to take advantage of it. I know.
Or
That makes them like me more as an investor, right? That makes them like me more. So the agents in the area know who I am. They know that I flip houses. They know I treat people well. And so what happened is an agent who knows me said, hey, they know the son. I did not know this gal's son. Said, hey, Ammon is an investor. You should call him. Okay. Now, how do people know me? It's because I pick up the phone. I'm talking with agents, all kinds of things. So this was not a secret lead source. I didn't have a secret mailer. I didn't have a secret letter. I just talked to all the agents. They know what I'm doing. I talk with the neighbors. They know what I'm up to. They trust me. They like me. So when this gal passed away, the agent's mother helped this gal out a lot. They went to the same church. And so as this happened, when the son showed up and said, you ought to call Ammon. So the gentleman called me, right? So I get the lead. Okay. So the son calls me. Now, my process for sales is really horrible. And I'm sure any salesperson on the planet would say I'm horrible at it. Okay. But my sales process is to listen and understand and to then lay out all the options and tell them where I'm valuable and where I'm not. That's the part that gets all the sales guys thinking I'm strange. Like I will tell people, I am not valuable here. You don't need me here. So I sat down with the son and I talked to him for a bit. The interesting part about it was that his mother passed away before she took care of her estate. Does anybody know what happens when somebody dies before they've taken care of their estate? What happens?
Does it go to the
doesn't
state?
probate.
Goes to probate. It's got to go through probate. Okay. Yeah, it's got to go through probate. So he has to go through probate. Okay, now this is an only son. Well, he's not an only son, but his sister has passed away. His father has passed away. There are no other heirs. Okay, who knows what it's like for a man in his 50s to learn he has to figure out probate and settle an estate? Is this man excited? Is this man nonplussed? Or is this man terrified and doesn't want to do it? Which is it?
Terrified and doesn't want to do it.
That's most men. Okay, that's most men. Okay, it's very common. In fact, the paralegals I use to help me take care of the probates, they say invariably men, inherit a house and they have no idea how to do the paperwork and they're overwhelmed by it. So I told them very clearly, I said, look, I will tell you the best paralegals in the state to get probate done for you. Okay, it's going to cost you about $1,300 to do it. If you get it done, you can get this house, you can sell it as is. You'll probably make a decent amount of money as is without having to do anything. You just have to sell it at a discount and you don't need me. Okay. His response was, if you don't help me, I'm letting the house go. I said, really? He says, absolutely. I said, okay. I said, then, well, you need to understand as an investor, okay, I need to make a serious profit. I take a lot of risk. I have to put a lot of money into this. I have to pay money to probate. People can sue me. I need to make a substantial profit. So are you sure you want to work with me? He says, absolutely. Okay. Now, of course, remember, I've already listened to the guy. I've asked him what he's trying to do, what he wants to accomplish, how big the estate is, what he hopes to do, where he's living, why he doesn't want to live in the house, that kind of stuff. I laid out his options of how to go about things and whatnot. And he just said, Ammon, I know you, I trust you. Well, he didn't know me real well. He'd only met me and talked to me a couple times. He says, look, you obviously know what you're doing. I need help to get through probate. And I said, okay, as long as you're willing to give me a large set of profit and you recognize you could save a lot of money not using me. Okay. All right. Now, why does that sales pitch work, guys? Why does it actually work, Tony? What about my sales pitch actually gets people to sign contracts? It sounds like a pretty horrible method, right?
It's honest.
Yeah, it's trust. That's all it is. Okay, it's trust. It's obvious I'm not using gimmicks. I'm not trying to manipulate it. They're like, wow, this guy's listened. He understands. He's outlined my options. And they're like, this would be somebody who would really be helpful to get it through me. So my method is an approach, is a trust situation. I said, great, sweet. Okay, so that's how I found the thing. Now, as I'm talking to the guy, I'm doing what's called the desktop appraisal. So this is step 2, right, in my slides. So step 2. Okay, so desktop appraisal. And this is where I happen to know he says he thinks his mother owes about 140K. He says he wants 20K. I told him I could only buy it at 165K, right? And so he's thinking, sweet, 165 is fine for me. I'm good to go. And so I'm like, okay, this looks good. Why? Because my ARV I thought was about 185, right? I'm sorry, excuse me, 285. And it might go up to 315. I thought it might sell for 315, and I thought it needed about 35,000 worth of repair. Okay, so if we run our numbers on that, that's looking like a pretty good deal. Okay, looking pretty solid. It's gonna come out really nicely. So I did that desktop appraisal. I kind of went to him and said, hey, I'd have to get it at 165. He says that's great. Okay, now the problem is we found out when we got a hold of his bank that his mom actually owed 162. And I'm like, I can't get you 20 grand, bro. That's not possible. And he's like, gosh, I don't know what to do. So I did a really rare thing, which I don't normally do. I actually said, look, I'll split it with you 50-50. Okay, a 50-50 split. If you'll do subject to, meaning if you'll let me take over your mother's loan and not pay it off. Okay. I don't normally do a 50-50 split. Okay. But with this guy's situation where he's at, super great guy, super nice guy. He really needed some capital. The other thing is the repair wasn't that big a deal. I happen to have a contractor right in the area that was going to really make this a really simple rehab for me. So I wasn't so upset if I did more of like a 50-50 split. Okay. All right. So that's how I got it. We signed it, and the agreement was that I would pay for the probate, and that he would just, once he was put on as the owner of the estate, he'd transfer the property to me. I would finish the repairs, I would get it sold, and then we would split the profits. Okay. So once we did the desktop appraisal, we entered contract. Now, really quickly, we entered contract. When I enter contract with the son of an estate, and he's not the personal representative yet, is that a legal contract? What do you guys think?
No.
It's not a legal contract, right? However, in the minds of the people signing it, are they pretty committed to working with me?
Yeah.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've done this several times and they've signed it, and I know it's not really legally binding. Is there any way I'm going to go to jail or get arrested for having them sign that they'll sell the property when they don't have the rights to sell it yet? Is this like a criminal offense?
I don't think so.
Dan's like, yes, and I'm reporting you.
Oh,
I was like, this is recorded. I'm telling the cops. Not really. All right. So yeah, there's nothing criminal about it at all. It would just be like if he decided to cop out, he could, because the estate is not obligated to him until he's legally made the personal representative. Now, I did check with an attorney. If I paid for the probate and he double crossed me, I could come after the estate and demand my $1,300 back. So did I take a little bit of risk paying $1,300 to get probate done?
Yeah. Little bit.
You bet I did. Now I felt I could get it back. I didn't feel he was going to double cross me either, but he could have. I might have had to go and do some legal work to get my $1,300 back. Really quickly, how many of you feel like if you had to put up $1,300 and you knew he might double cross you, how many of you would start to hesitate emotionally, be like, I don't know if I'm going to do this. I don't know.
I would.
Any of you balk? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's called risk. Go ahead. Who said something?
Yeah, I said I would balk. It's like you spent time with this guy. So trust is a back and forth thing. You're honest with him. He's honest with you. You get a feel for people, right?
Okay. Did I do it because I had a feel for him, or that was a part of it, but why else? So I did feel like he would keep his word, but why else would I take the risk? Because a lot of times my feelings are wrong. Feelings aren't science. Tony's like, yeah, we're not experienced, so a bit nervous. I like that. Yeah. Yeah. Here are the two reasons why I was willing to go forward with him. Okay. Number one is an attorney told me I could make a claim against the estate. Right. So that's a protection for me. And Stephanie hit the other one, and that is that, I was looking to make 50K in profit when I first started out. So risking 1,300 for the off chance he double crossed me, I thought was worth it. Okay. I didn't think he was a double cross me. I thought I'd get it back. If he did double cross me, gosh, when you do dozens of deals, when you're consistently doing deals, if you occasionally get double crossed on 1,300, but you're making 50, you still come out way, way ahead. Okay. obviously I had $13,000. It wasn't like I couldn't pay my bills if I lost it. That also made a difference. Okay. But it wasn't because I just trusted the guy. It wasn't an emotional thing. I mean, I did, but I did it because I thought I had some safety nets that would protect me. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
All right. So I enter into the contract. So what we do is we start in and we start doing the probate. And during probate, I did all the due diligence. So, I went ahead and I did my market research and I was like, yeah, I think this is going to sell. I did my physical due diligence and said, yeah, this is going to turn out all right. I did my legal due diligence. I had a title report done. It was a reverse mortgage. Okay. And so the lien on the house showed as 235. Okay. So it shows a 235K lien. And so in reverse mortgages, that's as high as it can go. But was that the actual amount owed? What do you guys think? Does everybody know what a reverse mortgage is? Tell me no if you don't.
I don't.
So a reverse mortgage is when somebody gets older and their house is paid off, they go to the bank and say to the bank, would you start making payments to me? So the bank starts paying the owner of the home until they pass away. And when they pass away, then the bank either gets the home or they get their loan paid off. Okay. So in this case, the bank said, we'll make payments to you up until the fact that you owe 235. But she didn't yet owe 235. She still owed 162. So I knew that. I knew how to go check with, bless you, Tracy. I knew how to go check with the title company and find out what she owed. Okay. How many of you would have seen the 235K lien and just backed out of the deal? Right? Because it was sitting on there plain as day and it said $235,000 lien. How many of you would have been tempted to back out? Okay. Yeah. The other's like, I would have. Well, I just called the lender and I said, hey, what is the loan balance on this thing? I got the son involved. We said, what's the loan balance? He said, well, it's 162. Then I had a title search done and the title search verified that was the only lien and we verified that that was the amount owed. Okay. So during the due diligence, I got all that done. Now, it all turned out. So I bought the property. Well, what I did is I used the existing loan. And just so you know, when you have somebody who passes away, you literally let the bank know, and they just stop making payments. And then this was an FHA reverse mortgage, so you had 6 months with 2 possible 3-month extensions where you don't have to make any payments. So I took the existing loan. Now interest was still accruing. Well, let me ask you: was interest accruing at a hard money lender rate or a cheaper rate?
Cheaper.
Much cheaper rate. Yeah. So 6%, I forget what it was, a much cheaper rate. Okay. And then what I did is I used my own cash to do repairs and pay bills. Okay. What do you guys think? Is it okay to use your own cash to
Yep.
do a deal, or should you not use your own
Sure.
cash?
Yep.
Totally okay to use your own cash. A lot of people teach that you shouldn't, but that's more of a gimmick to get you borrow against a credit card, right? You should never use your own money. Anyway, so there we go. Let's see. Tony asks, do you have a guy that can give you a quick repair estimate on a house? Tony, there's the deal analyzer that you can get a rough estimate, and then of course you do need contractors. Okay. Okay. So definitely you use a deal analyzer, and then you work both yourself and with contractors. All right. So I bought the property, and then I had the contractor go in. He went to work. The contractor actually was a family member, which is fine. They did a good job, but it ended up costing $50,000. Plus, there were some other expenses I knew would be in there. So that's about $15,000 higher than what I thought was going to happen. I did start the property high and I slowly worked the price down, and we're in a slow market. I was okay with that. I knew we had plenty of equity. We're going to be fine. I didn't panic. I just gradually went down. The property ended up selling where I netted about 280K, right? That's what I netted after realtor fees and everything else. And so the profits in there are almost exactly at 50K, right? They're almost exactly at 50K. All right, now, because of the way it's set up, I have other things in my agreement with this seller. I'm going to keep roughly 30 of that. Okay. So if you take a look at this, let me pull this up. This right here, if you guys can see that, can you all see this? This is the title commitment. This is last week. Okay, proceeds. That's the check I received. Trace says, when did I file a claim against the house? I did not file a claim against the house.
Oh, you
I just
could
took
though, if you
over.
had to. Okay,
What's that?
got it.
Yeah, no, I didn't file a claim.
Okay.
I got the deed. That's how we did subject to, and then I fixed it up and then we sold the property.
Okay.
So 295 was the actual sales price. Okay. But of course, if you take, this is the settlement statement. I gave $8,850 to the seller. Okay. That's what I gave to them, right? These VA loans, FHA loans, they often ask you to pay some of their expenses. So I effectively paid some of the seller's loan expenses, right? That's a debit that I gave to the seller. See how the seller got $8,850 from me? I paid title insurance premium for them. I paid county taxes for them, right? I paid, oh, this is the buyers. This is what they had to pay. Okay, there you go. That's what they had to pay. Credit report fee, flood, VA funding fee. Okay, this is all the seller stuff. I paid for homeowner's policy. I paid a title fee. I paid the real estate agent $5,900. Okay. This was the lender's, what was owed to the lender. Notice it's 170. It's because I owned it for a number of months and the price went up. Okay. And so we take a look down here. That's the check that I got that I cashed just a couple of days ago. Now, if you take a look at this, roughly $57,500 was expenses I had into the project. So if I got a check back for 107, but I had 57,500 into the project, what's my actual profit, guys?
50. Somewhere around 50.
50.
Right around 50K. Yeah, we're just going to round to 50K. Okay, so when you're online and you have somebody show you a check for $107,000, okay, how many of them tell you that a big chunk of that is getting their own money back?
None.
They never do. They're like, look at my check. I made $107,000. Okay. The industry is full of a lot of jokers. They like to inflate themselves. Now, again, I'm splitting this. Normally, I would not have split that. I would have normally liked to take the whole thing. Again, it's a neighbor. The guy was great. We did a subject to. I felt that was the right thing to do. So again, I'm going to keep about 30. He'll get about 20, and that's the actual project. Okay. Any questions on this one? This was the flip. Just finished it. Any questions on this guy?
Mhm.
Tony, I started talking to the guy beginning of December, and then we just sold it here just a few days ago. So we're talking a good solid 8 months, good solid full 8 months to do that deal. I had a couple months just dealing with probate and getting it through probate. That was several months of it. The construction took a little bit longer than I had thought, and then the sale, right? The sale took 3.5 months for it to sell, which was fine. I had the equity in there. It wasn't a problem. I knew the market had slowed down some, no big deal. I gradually went down. Reality was I had a showing, and every showing they tried to make an offer, but it was a very low offer. But I only had a showing about every 3 weeks. But the way I looked at it was every time somebody showed up, they made an offer. That's one of my signs that I should never lower the price, right? If I have 5 or 6 people show up with no offers, I got to lower the price. So I did lower the price as time went on. But I didn't lower it substantially. I started at 315, and you can see I got a 195 offer price. But I had to give a lot of concessions. All right. So I found it because the agents know me. I did my desktop appraisal by doing some quick numbers. It seemed like it worked. I sat down and negotiated with the gentleman, got the contract, and then due diligence looked good. And so I went ahead and closed by doing the probate, got it fixed up, and then I got it sold. Okay. Again, the steps are easy to understand. None of you, I think, is confused by the steps. The question is, how many of you are good with the deal analyzer? How many are good with the repair estimator, right? How many of you know how to write out a contract? How many of you feel comfortable with the escape clauses? How many of you feel comfortable doing your due diligence and would be willing to call up a paralegal or an attorney to pay for probate? So it's not so much, again, that you don't know, like, it's not that I know stuff you don't know. I'm just confident doing it, right? I'm just confident doing it. So yeah, Jimmy, you right? I think Jimmy, what you're saying is you'd be comfortable doing all of those steps, right? I think that's what you're saying. Maybe I'm misinterpreting that. Yeah, Jimmy's done a good number of deals. So this is one where it's a probate. That was the deal. There you go. Okay. All right, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's go look at my little wholesale deal. Okay. Tony says, do I usually do more than one deal at a time? I normally have several deals on my plate. It just depends on what I have going on. If you have a super large project, I may not have as much. If I've got some smaller projects, then yeah, I generally will. So yes, it's not uncommon. However, think of what I'm trying to teach people is start simple, right? If you have a job and you have a family, you're doing stuff, should you have 3 deals going on at once?
No.
No.
Probably not. It's okay to do one deal, right? It's okay to do one and then wait and do a second. And I know all the gurus say, quit your job, do 3 at a time, you make $1 million right away. But that's just unrealistic. For most people, it's overwhelming. It's crushing. To be honest, the first house you flip will feel like you went and got like a PhD at some university. It's challenging. It's hard, right? And Jimmy, I don't know what your first deal was like, but my first one was really difficult. It was challenging. And even now, doing a rehab takes a lot of effort. And so there's nothing wrong with doing one at a time. This isn't a race against everybody else. It's you improving your life. That's what it's about. Okay. All right. Let's shift and let's talk about the wholesale deal. And again, we'll do it in this light right here. This one should go a little bit quicker because I don't have nearly as much explanation. But in the wholesale deal, this one I found very simply because I had a friend of mine who's an agent and real estate kind of froze. And he called up, says, Ammon, I was at our church employment specialist and he challenged me to call 5 guys and see if I could find work. Why? Because he's a great agent, but he had all these listings, Alejandro, and they just froze. Nothing was happening. He says, Ammon, I need money to pay my bills. Okay. And he said, do you have any work for me? I said, well, do you want to do pre-foreclosures and probates with me? He said, what do you mean? I said, well, you can literally call pre-foreclosures and see if you can get deals. And then we talked through kind of a structure of how we would split profits. And he said, yeah, I'll do that. So I said, great. I sent him over a couple videos. I sent him a couple videos where I trained him on what to do with pre-foreclosures. Now, remember, he's a real estate agent. So he knows about contracts and comparables. He knows all that stuff. So that part's done. So I just told him, gave him a couple scripts, and all he did, who can guess what website he went to go find the deal? Who can guess?
Auction.com.
Yeah. How'd you guess that?
Mhm.
Okay. There are no secrets, you guys. There just aren't. Okay. It's so amazing. I see all the marketers say, hey, are you sick of doing this? We'll find, this way that nobody else uses and blah, blah, blah. Guys, there are no secrets. Life is hard work. My son called me today. He's a house inspector. He's barely started. He's 21. The guys bring on him as a house inspector, and he's cold calling agents to get house inspections. So he called me up and said, awesome, dude. Awesome, right? And now everybody else says, well, are you still cold calling? You're still behind. Guys, there's nothing like hard work in life. It will always be true. I don't care how advanced technology gets, okay? So he just came to auction.com and he literally just put in, he just put in Arizona, okay? Boom, came on here. It was out in an itty bitty town in Arizona called St. John's. Come out here. There's actually a cave out here where the Spanish came through and it carved in a cave out here. It's kind of cool. But in any case, it's right out here. Teeny tiny itty bitty little town. This is it. Okay. Since we stopped the auction, we had to stop the auction. Anyway, he goes out there and he makes the phone call to he actually knows the person in town because it's such a small town. So he calls the family member and says, hey, why is your house going to auction? The guy says, oh, well, my dad died and we don't know what to do with it, right? We don't know. And he says, well, how about you sell it and we pay you some money? They said, great, that's fine. So my agent did some negotiation. It was a little awkward. He didn't do it very well because he didn't understand all of the pieces. That's fine. So he got most of it done. So I got on the phone with the oldest daughter and we talked it through, right? Now, this happens to be another probate situation, foreclosure and probate both, actually. But it's not often I do 2 probates in a row. But this was an oldest daughter who said, yeah, we would love 10K. That would be awesome. So my buddy, because this is a small town, the market was really slow. I said, look, I don't want to buy the thing cash and sit on it because we were thinking that they owed. So in any case, he makes the contact, finds the person off of auction.com, and they are definitely motivated. So we found the motivation, right? Somebody passed away, it's in foreclosure, they don't know what to do, the motivation is there. So then we do our kind of our desktop analysis. And we're not sure exactly what they owe, but we have this idea that they owe anywhere between 95 and maybe 110. We don't know for sure. Okay. But we also know that there's a buyer because my friend also knew somebody in town that was willing to pay 125K for the property. Now, the one flaw in this deal was that my friend is really good friends with everybody in that town. So I said, well, can we shop it to other people? He says, well, I don't want to. I want these people to get it. I said, all right, fine. Your town, you got it. We'll go with that. I think we might have been able to get a little bit more, but he was fine with that. So in our desktop analysis, we effectively said, okay, we got to figure out what's owed on the property. So we found out it's 1015. So we just wrote a contract that we would effectively pay for the probate, get everything done, and we would give the seller 1015 plus 10K, and then we would make the spread between the 125K and the 111.5. Now, the thing about my friend, he's a very giving guy. He also committed and said that we would pay all of the buyer's closing costs. Okay. So that kind of started cutting into our profits a little bit. But I was like, all right, okay, if that's the way you want to do it, let's go with it. He had done most of that and found it. But it looked like we were going to make our profits from wholesaling. We're going to do an assignment. It looked like we were going to make anywhere from probably 10 to 15,000. We didn't know exactly where it was going to lay, but it looked like it would be decent. We didn't have to raise the money. We didn't have to buy the house. We just needed to facilitate the paperwork. Okay. So it looked pretty good. So what did we do? We entered a contract just like we did before. And I put in there some stipulations that if the amount owed was above, I forget what I put, it was above 112, we were out, right? In other words, if there wasn't going to be a profit for us, then we weren't going to do all the work to make it happen. And so I said, if for some reason there's some expense that pops up during probate that we don't know about, then we're out. That was a part of the contract. The gal signed, she was super happy with it. So we went ahead with the purchase, or went ahead with the probate situation. And the probate ended up being very simple. We didn't have to do probate. There's this thing called an affidavit of succession. Okay. Has anybody ever heard of that thing? Affidavit of succession?
No.
Okay. Essentially, if the estate is small enough and everybody gets along, you can skip probate and have everybody sign a letter that they just give up the property. Okay. It shortens probate by, a lot, and it makes it much more simple. And so the affidavit of succession ended up turning out. Now, guys, have I ever done an affidavit of succession? What's your guess?
Yes.
Yes.
I've never done one before in my life, ever.
Oh,
So how did I do it? If I've never done one before, how did I do it?
Call someone you
Call
know.
somebody.
Thank you. Yeah, I called the same paralegals that helped me with other processes and said, hey, can you guys help me with this? They said, sure, not a problem. I said, sweet. And of course they charged me $1,300 to help me, but I did it. And that's another lesson you have to learn as an investor. You run across lots of problems you don't have the solution to. You just have to put them together. Now, as we did this analysis, we weren't sure what was owed. We weren't sure the probate would work well because the auction was coming up in just a couple of weeks, right? Most of the time banks will postpone an auction, but they don't always. And so it was kind of dicey. I had to work through it, and we had to call the probate company and get a hold of the lender and gather some information. And it looked for a minute like we weren't going to be able to do the affidavit of succession, and we we're going to have to do the multiple month probate. And we were wondering if that was going to be worth it with all the extra time and energy for the wholesaling fee. And in the end, it all piece by piece fell together. Again, most investors get stressed out by that. They're like, well, how can I start if I don't know the end from the beginning? Let me ask you a question, okay? In a sports team, when you start a game, a football game, a basketball game, a volleyball game, a hockey game, it doesn't matter. Any game, do you know the end from the beginning, yes or no?
No.
no.
Okay, it's the same with the deal. You have to start it, and then you're playing the game, you're in the game. Now you have a rough idea of how it's going to turn out, or you would never start the game. But you still have to deal with variables. And a lot of investors, you step back because of that. You're like, well, I don't know what to do. Well, I didn't know what to do in the affidavit of succession. I had to figure it out. So I went in there with the people I called, we got it done. Okay. So the probate finally happened. Our biggest trial, we got the probate done, we got the succession done. The buyers had their lender set up. We did an assignment. Okay. We actually even started out to try to do a subject to. I was going to do a subject to for the buyers, and they were going to pay me an extra few $1,000s. But it ended up being an FHA loan, which none of the title companies will touch an assignment with an FHA loan. So I was like, fine, let's go ahead and we'll go back to a traditional assignment. The title company was our biggest problem. We had a great title company that was supposed to know how to do creative deals. They did know, they've done a lot of them. But for whatever reason, the title agents this time, they were just not responsive. They made all kinds of mistakes. They didn't communicate well. They were just horrible. And so because of the title company, it took us an extra, 10 days to close. And of course, that costs us money because the loan's eating up interest and things like that. But that was the hardest part of this, was babysitting the title company. I almost left the title company several times and just started up with a new title company, but we kept getting so close. I was like, it doesn't make any sense to change. Let's just bear with them, and we got all the way through. Now, if I could go back, I would have changed, but we just decided to keep going forward. So they were really a pain in the backside. But in the end, it worked out. In the end, we got our assignment fee. We closed out. Now let me bring this up here. Let me show you how they did it. Okay. This right here, that's the title company. If you're ever in Arizona, be careful of that escrow company and that escrow agent. Okay. Now they did it two ways. They actually set it up. They used our contract to set up the sale of the property as 117. The reason they did that, okay, the sales price of the home was 125. Well, they didn't want the seller to know what our entire fee would be. They didn't know what they didn't want them to know what our paycheck would be. So if you come down here on this seller here, right, they were getting 117. Notice down here, that is a proceeds. That's proceeds to my company. Okay, they are paying my proceeds. All right. Then they broke it out so that on the borrower side, the borrower paid me an $8,000 assignment fee. So you can tell I made $9,464.61. That was my total take on that. Okay. So there you go. But they broke it up. They literally did this with the seller, and then they had the borrower or the buyer pay me an $8,000 fee. Now, I've never seen a title company do it that way, but that's the way they set it up, and it works out just fine with me. And so I will split that with the agent that found the deal. So we're each going to make roughly $5,000, right? It's like 4,000 something, 4,800 whatever is what it turns out to be, something along those lines. Okay, 4,700 whatever. So roughly $5,000. But there you go. That's an assignment. And again, that one closed on the 27th. Okay. All right. Any questions on this guy, Alejandro?
Isn't that a little sketchy?
What?
The 117,000 and then putting 8,000 someplace else? Isn't that just a little questionable, maybe? It doesn't, that's weird to me. It's just not clean, cut clean. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the title company here was trying to, protect us. I mean, I'm a very transparent dude, and so
Yeah.
they knew full well what I was making. But
Yeah,
But no, it's interesting, Tracy. I mean, you never want to lie or cheat people, but at the
right,
same time, you have to understand it's not my job to tell them my business. I don't have to tell them what I'm doing, right?
right.
I
Yeah,
promised the estate $10,000, and I told them, because by law I have to tell them in Arizona. Well, I would have told them even if it wasn't law. I told them before it was law. I tell them I'm wholesaling this, right? That's what I'm doing. I'm wholesaling this. I intend to make a profit. I will make a spread between what you get and what I sell it for, right?
right.
Now, what I'm
Yeah,
going to do is pay off the debt and make sure you guys get 10 grand. You want 10 grand? And I gave her a choice. I said, I can just give you a price and you get whatever's left over, right? I can give you a choice. You get 110, right? And I can give you 110 and see what you get left. It might be 5 grand, it might be 10 grand, or I can guarantee you 10. She says, I want to guarantee 10. I said, fine. I gave that to her. Now, Sanji says misleading, not lying. Well, I mean, I don't know. Do I have to tell her what I sell the property for? Is there a moral obligation of me telling her? Did I go to her and say, I will tell you exactly what I sell it for and I commit to that? No, I didn't commit to that. Now, I did tell
no,
her, she did know, but I would have no problem with this. I don't feel like this is underhanded because now if they asked me and I lied, that would be misleading, right? I
yeah,
also, just like I did with them, just like I did with her, well, I wasn't there, but I trained this Chip guy. I said, look, that's my friend that did the deal. I said, Chip, I tell everybody that they don't have to use me. I am their last resort. So tell them if they just hire a probate attorney, they can stop the probate and get the property to sell it themselves. He told them that, and they didn't want to do it either. So if I've been honest from that perspective, after they've already agreed to, to let me help them, do I then have to open up my pocketbooks and show them what's in my wallet and tell them my underwear size and stuff? No, I
No.
don't have to, right? So now if they ask me something and I lie or I withhold information that they should have to make their decision, that's true. I shouldn't do that. But we were upfront, we were honest, we disclosed, we told everything. She agreed to the terms, after which point I have no moral or legal obligation to tell her what I get for the property. Does that make sense?
Yep. So is this a double close?
Oh, no, this was an assignment.
Okay, all right,
This was an
thank
assignment.
you.
So Tony, this gets back to the question I have with an assignment clause. Is the original seller know the ultimate sales price? In this case, Tony, all the seller saw was this stuff over here. So the seller in the end, I don't believe actually, I don't know what they saw. I haven't seen their settlement statement. They don't give me their settlement statement, but I don't think that's going to show up. Or if it does, notice how it shows that the borrower paid it to me, right? So what it does is it shows the seller that it sold for 117, but it shows that the borrower gave me another 8,000. So, I mean, if the seller puts it together, the 8,000 plus the whatever, they would know the totals, right? If they put those two together. But I don't know if the seller gets to see this side. Like I said, I've never seen it done this way. Okay. But like I said, the seller knew exactly what we sold it for. They knew we were getting 125.
Right,
Tony, believe it or not, what I'll tell you is this. I'm a little bit different. In most of my wholesales, I tend to buy every property and then I list it. Instead of wholesaling like this, where we do an assignment like this, I tend to buy them and then list them. Why do you think I do that?
For profit?
I make a lot more money. Yeah. If I put it on the MLS, I get a lot more competition. Right. Sorry, Tony. I think Tony was going to say something.
No, I was gonna say, so you don't have to go through what we just talked about, revealing the ultimate price that you were gonna get for the property. Because it's
Okay.
yours, and at that point, and you can sell it for whatever you want it.
Yeah, that's a
Right?
great reason for it right there. It's a great one. Yeah, it creates anonymity. I don't have to mislead anybody or hide anything, right? Excuse
That's
me.
true.
This cold is brutal. Anyway, yeah, that would be a good reason to do it, what Tony's bringing up. The reason I normally do it though, because I'm perfectly okay with this. I don't feel immoral. I don't feel dishonest doing this, which took me a while. I used to feel like I had to tell everybody everything, and I realized that's just not what I have to. But no, I just do it because I make more money the other way. So actually, Tony, this is a common way that it's done. I just haven't. Most of the assignments I've done in the past, they just put it all together in one lump sum and they show the price with everything here. I know it's been broken out like this before. I know they've done it before. This is very common. I just haven't had it done before because I normally buy them and resell them, or the ones I've used, I've just been upfront with this is my assignment fee. Okay. Mark says, so the paralegal I used was Arizona Legal Smart. I'm not telling. No, just because it says it right here on my title report doesn't mean that's who I used, Mark. Yes, that's who I use. They're great, by the way. If you guys want to use them, they're incredible. Okay, and in Arizona, I don't know if they have. I don't know if they have. I don't know if they have offices elsewhere. Okay. All right, so that's roughly $5 grand. Okay, that we closed out last week. The last will come here, and we'll wrap this up here in a few minutes. It's the loan. Okay, the loan. Now this one is interesting in that I would really, really tell you guys you can certainly learn how to do this stuff, but of the three, this is by far the riskiest of the three. Okay. Now this guy called me up for a loan. He said, "Hey, Am, and now I've done deals with this guy." He says, "I need $236,000. That's what I need." Okay. And he said, "I just need it for 2 weeks, and I'm only going to give a promissory note." What do you guys think about that?
Risky.
Very risky, right? I said, "Look, I know the guy. Like I've done several deals with him actually, so I consider him a friend." But I said to him, I said, "Look, Artie is his name." I said, "Artie, dude," I said, "I'm willing to give you a loan, but I need collateral." So he says, "All right, I got this property." And he tells me about this property. And I said, "All right, well, what's it worth?" He says, "Well, it's worth 500K and I owe 250. Okay, what do you guys think? Is that a good deal for me to loan 236 when he has 250,000 equity? Should I do a second position for 236?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, wait a
No.
minute. No,
Because if I lent him 236, that would be almost the full 500 on the property.
Right.
There's no equity in it. I said, Artie, that
Mhm.
doesn't work, my man. You're at full value. You need to give me 2 properties. So he gave me a second property where he said it's similar, right? Second property. So the value is 500K and he owes about 270. So I said, that's fine. If you will collateralize 2 properties and you pay all the title insurance and you pay for the title search, I'll lend you 236 for 2 weeks. Now, of course, he's paying me a flat 5%. Okay. Flat 5%, which is about $11,800. Now, I also told him if he needed to extend, he could extend each month for 1 point per month. Now, here's one thing you'll learn from me. Okay. And that is that it is important to be a nice, decent person, but when you're doing business, don't be nice. Cover your risk. Okay. I should have had that higher per month. I really don't want to lend past 1 month. And, but I know things happen with loans and things like that. I know the guy, so I set it up where he could extend, which is not a big deal, but I should have had that at a higher point per month. I won't go into the whole negotiation with him and whatnot. But the point is, he wanted to say, Ammon, it's really quick. I'll do just a promissory note. Now, I don't think the guy's dishonest, but did I say, hey, I know you, I've done deals with you before. I trust you'll be honest and give him the note? Or did I demand collateral? Which should I do?
demanded collateral.
Man, collateral.
That's right. Okay.
Cover
So
yourself.
I don't care if it's your, go ahead, Brenda.
I was just gonna say you have to cover yourself, protect yourself.
Well, and you're a
Absolutely.
business.
Correct. I'm a business. Now, a good, honest business is where we both win. That's what it's about, right? It's a good, honest business. But you know, a charity is where I just give and don't expect anything in return. Well, I'm not doing a charity. Okay. So that's the way the loan went out. So we set up, it worked out. We did I ran my comps and the equity is there. It's a little tighter than he said it was, but it's still there such that I should be just fine. I should be covered. I should be all right. Okay, so the equity is there if I ever had to go. We got title insurance on both homes. I looked at the title report, which by the way, the title report also checks to see if the person that's borrowing from you is in bankruptcy or in any lawsuits. He was not, he was good. The title company knew him, said he was in good standing, which I believed I knew was going to be set up. So we did a promissory note and we did 2 deeds of trust, but these were on properties that he wasn't even using the money for. He was using the money for a new build. Okay. He's using the money for a new build. So that's set up. And you guys can see right here, this is the note. No, that's not the note. Where is the note? I thought I had the note up here. Oh, here it is. Sorry. There we go. For value received, that's it right there. Dollars payable on September 8th, together with the loan fee of $11,800. Okay. Now I got to pay interest too. So the interest on there is going to take this down to about 11,000 bucks because I have the loan I'm giving to him was off of a line of credit. It wasn't cash. I didn't use cash in this particular loan. It's a line of credit. So it's $11,000. It was supposed to be out for 2 weeks. Well, obviously we're past 2 weeks now, right? Maker may extend the note for a period of up to 2 months. An extension fee of $23.60 shall we do at the time of each 1 month extension. So he and I get to have a conversation this week about, hey, the extension's coming up. Do I need to foreclose on you? Or are we going to extend? And do you think I'm just going to just kind of get a general idea, or am I going to ask him about his projects, what's going on, what's happening, what's the bank say? Do you think I'm just going to ask him general, or am I going to get specifics?
Specifics.
I'm going to get a lot of details, right? Because I'm going to say, hey, look, if this is going to be a problem, let's just start foreclosure right now. Okay, let's go forward with it. If not, then you can pay me the $23.60. Now, does he wait to the end, or does he pay that to me up front?
Doesn't that depend on how you set it up?
Yep, shall be due at the time of each 1 month extension. So the
So it's
reality
upfront.
is, yep. Yeah, Deandra makes a good point. He should be calling me proactively. That's exactly right. Okay, that's exactly right. Now, again, I'm not concerned. I think I'm just fine here. But I have called and said, hey, you know, what's happening? Where are we at? And so, I've talked to him a couple of times, but this week we could have a little more serious conversation. If any payment is past due, a late charge, the amount of 29% will become due until paid in full. So the minute I begin foreclosure, he owes me 29% on that money. So if it takes me a while to get my money back, right? Annually speaking, that's roughly $62,000 a year is what he would owe me. So I can
Yeah.
sue him and come after assets on those items right there. Okay. Now, of course, it's in an LLC, which creates issues. But if you know anything about LLCs, you can pierce veils, all that kind of stuff. Okay. Let's see. If real price is described, note. So this just says there's deeds of trust. If you scroll 2 deeds of trust right there. This is deed of trust number 1. Oh, that's my release when I get paid, right? And that's the release. Where are the deeds of trust? Are they in this one? This is the Alta statement. That's the loan. That's what he had to pay. He paid all the fees for me to make the loan. He paid those. There we go. There you go. Deed of trust and assignment of rents. That's what protects me, allows me to foreclose. And there should be one more deed of trust here. Deed of trust. Okay, now I have reason to believe that he would have his cash and would have paid me off last week. So he hasn't. So again, we'll be talking tomorrow and we'll see where that particular thing goes. So if you take a look at that, this here should be about a $10,000 profit. It's gonna be a little bit higher than that, but that's the 30 from my flip, the 5 from my wholesale, 10 from the loan, $45,000 in 3 years. Okay. Tony says, why did he do a normal equity loan? Because these are investment projects, Tony. And so as an investment project, you don't normally get equity loans. He also had to move quickly because he had a construction project on a $1.1 million build. And he needed the construction to start because he had contractors ready to begin. And some details happened where he needed to move quickly. Okay. Stephanie, take care. You have a great night. All right, guys. Really quickly, here's how we'll wrap up tonight. Those are legitimate deals. Those are legitimate profits. That's stuff that really happens. So you can imagine, if you have a few weeks like that throughout the year, you can make some decent money in this business. Now you also have to know, okay, that you can lose money here too, right? The 236,000. Maybe he ran off to Mexico with it, right? There's real risk in these things, and so the idea is you get into this, make sure you take it slow, make sure you take it consistent. All right. Now, when it comes to learning this stuff, really simply, you can all watch a webinar I did 2 or 3 weeks ago where I talk about really how you learn to do deals. Okay. You learn real estate basics, you learn investor basics, and then essentially you learn sales skills. That's really the best way to do this thing. Okay. So real estate basics are these topics. You learn comps, you learn to estimate repairs, you learn how a loan works, how the deal analyzer operates, you learn how to fill out a purchase and sale agreement, you learn escrow and title. These are just things that you learn. Now, you can't just learn them, you have to practice them. Okay. In other words, just like playing any sport, you have to actually go out and run reps on them. It's the same thing with real estate basics. You don't just watch some videos on comparables. You literally have to run comps every day for several months or you'll never get good at it. Okay. Every deal I just taught you about, I promise you, if I couldn't have run comps, I could not have done the deal. You have to get good at it, Dan. You have to get good at it, Moses. You have to get good at it, Tony. There's no other option. Okay. Once you have that, if you really want to become an investor, these are just imperative topics. You need to know how a courthouse works, how liens work. You need to know how promissory notes, deeds of trust work, pre-foreclosures, probates, tax liens, auctions. These are investor specific skills. Once you have those down, then you get into the hardest thing of all. You have to learn how to sell. Real estate is a people game. Real estate is a sales game. You're raising money. You are getting sellers who are ready to sell to you. You're getting buyers to buy. You're getting title companies to deal with you. It is a people game. And so this is the hardest of all the phases right here. The problem is that most people jump to phase 3 before they learn phases 1 and 2. In fact, most gurus will make you go to phase 3 and start marketing before you've mastered phases 1 and 2. Okay. So the fact of the matter is, if you want to get good at this game, you've got to learn in this order. Okay. It will just make, you don't have to, you can learn in a different order, but the highest odds of success are learning in this particular order. Okay. I won't take you through the rest of all of these slides here. But really quickly, let me just say this. At Broccoli, I've set it up where each of these phases has what I call an intensive. I effectively work 4 months for each of the phases to get the training and the practice that you need. We are starting this week a phase 1 intensive. It's 4 months long. We have you watch videos and do exercises before each week. And then at the end of the week, we get together to actually do the work. Okay. So you're running comps all that time. We're getting together each week for 2 hours. After you've run comps, you've done all this work, you get feedback. Same thing with estimating repairs. It takes a lot of practice to get good at estimating repairs. So you watch videos, you do the work, you come, and we actually have a practice where we do it together. If you're interested in joining the phase 1 intensive, okay, feel free to pop in to broccoliRE.com. So effectively, it's a $97 registration fee. Then it's $225 a month for the 4 months. Okay, that's how we do it. Incredibly affordable. The biggest part is you have to take action. It is an application 4 months, right? This isn't a theory. You don't just watch videos. You are expected to apply and do, and you get feedback. Okay. We started a phase 2, but that started here a couple of weeks ago. If you wanted to get in, you could squeeze into a phase 2, but after the next couple of days, it would just be too late. You need to wait for the next one. Okay. Santi, thank you. Appreciate that. Mark and Susan, thank you. So you're welcome to join me on that particular space. Get in there again. Broccoli, go to broccoliRE.com. And you can register. If you register, we will be meeting this Thursday or Friday to schedule what hours we'll meet each week. Meaning this Thursday or Friday, all the class will get together, and then we will set the 2-hour schedule that we'll meet every week after you've done all your training and all your exercises, where we will actually have class together. It's just like a college course, okay? All right, so that effectively makes the whole course about $1,000 over the course of the 4 months, okay? More attention, more time, more focus than you've ever seen from any trainer before. All right. Any questions about the deals? Any questions about any of the phase training at all? Oh, Tony had one. Let me go find Tony's. He typed one here in a second.
So, you're meeting this Thursday or Friday to discuss when the days and times of the week you're going to do phase 1. But you don't have the Thursday or Friday times that you'll send an
Tracy, I
email.
think you responded to my email. So I responded to everybody in the class that's currently there. And you guys were all kind of let me know time. So when I go back in tomorrow and read everybody's response, we'll set the time. And if anybody else joins us, then we'll include them in that meeting as well. But yeah, you guys as a group, you got an email. So you're all kind of helping me choose the time that we'll all meet for that quick orientation.
Okay, thanks.
Absolutely. Good question. Santi, no, nothing I've shown you here today has to do with the Palisades or California. Nothing I've shown you here. Tony asks, do auction.com listings usually show up on Zillow? They most often do, Tony, but I still go to auction.com directly because not everything does. Yeah, I like to go to auction.com directly, but a lot of them do show up on Zillow, for sure. So Santi makes a comment, says, Ammon, earlier today, I think you said I need no cash up front because the end buyer brings all the monies. Yeah, so this deal right here, okay, let me show you this one right here. This assignment right here, guys, the wholesale deal. Okay, guess how much cash of my own money I used in this deal. Guess how much of my cash was actually involved? $0. Yeah, I used $0. Yeah, I put up no earnest money when I signed the contract. I did 0 earnest money. And then when I did the probate, I asked if the probate company could bill escrow, right? I said, hey, can you guys bill escrow? They said, sure, no problem. So you saw on the settlement statement, look at the settlement statement here. Now, I could have paid out of escrow if I wanted to, but look right here. Is that the right one? I don't think that's the right one, guys. Hold on. No, that's not the right one. This one's the right one. Okay. See, Arizona Legal Smart, that was paid right out of escrow. So I could have paid it up front, but I didn't. And so the reality is this was literally a no money down deal, none of my own cash. Now, my partner did happen to go to the courthouse and kind of, he got in the way of the process a little bit. He did just fine, but he spent like $30 recording things, but that was it. He spent $30. Brenda asks and says, Ammon, what if something is taken down from auction.com? I've been waiting to go to the auction on a house, but I got an email saying it's no longer happening. What could that mean? So Brenda, that means a guy like me showed up, most likely, right? So the house that was going to go to auction, that's one thing I didn't tell you guys is I did postpone the auction on that wholesale deal. I always take extra precautions. I said, you know what? We're probably going to close before the auction. Let's postpone it. So I sent a contract and I sent information to the lender. It says, look, we're serious about buying this. Here's our title company we've opened title with. Here's our proof of funds. Here's all this stuff. I sent it to them and they postponed it. And it's a good thing because the title company messed it up and pushed it longer, right? Past the auction date. But what happens, Brenda, is because I showed up, it got postponed and then we bought the property, so it got taken off. So they might have redeemed the property, they might have declared bankruptcy. An investor like me showed up and took it. But one of those auctions happened. And here's something interesting I just learned, and I'll be talking about on Thursday. I learned that during the Biden administration, they essentially told everybody who was an FHA borrower that they could come and get 3-month extensions on their foreclosure just over and over and over again without that stopping, right? And of course, the idea is you don't want housing prices to drop during an election year. So Trump has ended that. He said, no, guys, look, if you default, you've defaulted, right? And we don't want the American taxpayer to just keep sitting here because FHA loans are backed by it. We don't just want people to just stay there and not pay their bills for years on end, right? And so now they will actually be foreclosed on, right? But in any case, you saw for a couple years that they just kept getting postponed, not because the problem got solved, but because the government said, "Yeah, sure, go ahead and live there three more months for free without paying anything." 3 months later, "Yeah, sure, no big deal, go for it." And so that's now ended, but that's another reason.
Good.
Yeah, Tony, great question. So, Tony, one of the secrets here is the questions you're asking me right now are kind of both phase 1 and phase 2 questions. So who did I talk to? I talked to an escrow and title company. So you need to learn a lot about title and escrow. So I talked to them and said, hey, can we get the promissory note and the deed of trust tied up? Well, I knew about them. I just had the escrow title company help me with them. I knew about liens and I knew about borrowing money because I've been educated in these things. So I knew that. So I took my knowledge with this. I went and talked to the escrow and title companies that know how to do title searches and set up those documents. And between my knowledge and their expertise, we got it done, right? But if you didn't know anything, a title and escrow company could have helped you get it all set up. And did I pay for that? No, not when I did my loan. Sorry, guys, excuse me. I've got to give me 1 second to itch this silly nose of mine. Hold on. Whew, I'm not enjoying this cold. And so if you look right here, if you look at this settlement statement right here, actually, I think I have it right here. Let's see. It's up here. I opened too many documents. See if I can find it. See this right here? This is it right here. So there is no seller. This is the borrower. So the borrower is borrowing 236. So the borrower paid 400 in closing fees, 200 in doc prep, 560 in a loan policy fee, and 60 bucks in a recording fee. That's what they paid. I paid nothing. Okay. I paid nothing. Tony, you probably need to join me in the phase 1. I can say that with a fun grin. I love you either way, but you ought to join me in the phase 1. Good. Any other questions, guys? You can go ahead.
So, Eamon, back to that house that was taken off of auction.com. Is it worth calling the owner to see what happened? Or no, just that's one you would let go?
No, you can call. In fact, I got a property off an auction once. Somebody called me last minute. I called, I got it off auction, but I didn't have time to get a contract to the seller. The very next day after the auction, somebody knocked on their door and offered them more than I'd offered them. And they're like, I don't have a contract with that guy, and ran away with the deal. I lost a lot of money on that deal. So yeah, by all means, you can go and say, hey, I'm in the area buying houses, or hey, are you guys interested in selling? it doesn't hurt to reach out because you don't know why it was pulled off.
Right.
You know, even in the case of mine, this last one I did, it got pulled off the auction because the auction was supposed to be August 21st, but we didn't close until like August 29th, right? And so, you know, it got pulled off, but there might be something else happening, and maybe you can pop in there and make a competitive offer.
Thanks.
Perfect. Good. Any other questions? Dan, any other questions? Keith, Bob, Moses, Mark, Susan, any more, Mark, any more jokes? Got any more jokes coming at me today? Okay. I think we're good. Well, let me say this. I really love having you guys here. It's a lot of fun. Thanks for being a part of it. Thanks for being a part of Broccoli. You know, it's interesting being in this side of it. Flipping homes is not easy. Being a real estate investor is not simple. I am not one that would tell people to go put a lot of money on credit card to go out there and try to do it. It's very, very, very challenging. If, however, you have the tenacity to stick with it, if, however, you have the ability to stay out there, if, however, you have the ability to learn it and then buy rentals and continue at it, you really can generate a lot of wealth. Please just know it's brutal, it's tough, it's hard. More than anything, it's dealing with risk, okay, and learning how to negotiate a lot, lots of negotiation here. And so those can be some of the challenging elements. Learning how to sell, right? You know, you really do have to learn how to communicate and persuade. Those are not easy skills to develop. It might take you a year, it might take you 2 years. And so stick with it if you decide to do it. And if you decide not to, look, you know, all the gurus say your job is just over broke and they trash jobs. Forget it. Be grateful for your job. Be grateful for a healthy, good, stable lifestyle. That's fine. If you want to get into it, though, I promise you, Broccoli RE is the place to be. All right, let's look at here. There were a couple more questions popped up here. Awesome, Keith. Would love it. I'll look for your email. Hey, Deidre, you did a wholesale last week. Hey, that's
Yes,
awesome. What? Yeah, did you do? Was it an assignment or a double close?
I'm assignment of contract.
Good job. Okay, is it okay?
Thank
Can I
you.
ask what you made, or you don't have to tell me? But can I ask what your
11
assignment?
grand.
Nice.
Nice.
Woohoo.
That's exciting, Deidre.
Thank you. And we had the one that he called yesterday on the holiday, and he's a 90-year-old. I don't even know whether to call him a tired landlord or not, but he came through a direct mail yellow letter, and he gets, I don't know, maybe 12 calls a day or more a day and letters. And we met with him. I told you this a while back. We met with him in Applebee's, and we sat and ate with him for an hour. And he says, okay, I like you girls. And if you do this right, I have a lot of properties to unload. But he's a realtor who doesn't practice. He's a contractor, so he's stuck in a time zone somewhere. So he called us yesterday. He said, listen, I don't know if you guys want to work with me, but if you do, call me back and let me know because I'm ready. And he's like, whatever you want to make, whatever you want to do, just let me know. So I think he's really tired now.
Why did you choose your letter over all the others? Do you know?
Oh no, that we stopped doing yellow letters. Oh no, he came from old yellow letters. Like,
Old one.
yeah, it's an old one. And he only lives 10 minutes. He lives 10 minutes away.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, if he owns a lot of real estate, be careful. Sometimes you become very positive and very friendly just because they hope they can kind of hoodwink you. But you're a sharp gal. You'll do fine with it. But good. Congratulations on the first one. I'm excited for your
Thank
second
you.
one. That's super cool, Deidre.
Yeah, well, he had me, he allowed me to put it on Marketplace. And when I put it on Marketplace, there were so many people who were interested. Some have realtors to represent them. And so I kind of weeded them out and I say, listen, it's not a great deal for investors. So everybody who came as investors, I say it's not a great deal because the price that he wanted it for, but then the person who lives in the house, they tried to buy it through FHA, and he really realized how much it's really worth after the FHA told him all the stuff he had to fix. So then he changed his song and dance. And so now he's in a different headspace now.
Good. Good. Way to be patient. A lot of deals come just because you patiently work with people and build rapport. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So in 2 weeks on the 13th, what we're going to do, we just set it up to where we're going to meet at the house and tell everybody who's interested to meet there and let them do their walkthrough and tell them to put in there. They have 1 week to put in their best offer.
Good. Good. Yeah. How long you been working at this, Deidre?
April, I went to Kingdom 320 last April, so about a year and a half.
Okay. Takes a while, guys, right? Now, of course, it
Yeah.
takes that long if you're not with broccoli, but if you're, it
Yes,
does
of
take a
course.
while. No, Deidre, it doesn't matter. Even with broccoli, it's just less painful and you do move a little faster, but it's less painful and much less a hit to the pocketbook. But good job, Deidre. Congratulations.
Thank
Mark
you.
says,
And thanks for all your training and your
yeah,
coaching
you're
calls.
welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. Come join me in one of the intensives in the future. But good, it's
I
just so good
will.
to have you here. It's fun to see you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Mark says, what do you
You're
give me
welcome.
across the snowman with a vampire? Frostbite. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. What are you seeing in the market right now and coming up? Melanie, it's interesting. I try to listen a lot to a lot of things. I am going to be sharing Thursday. Well, in my Facebook groups, I'll be sharing the video I watched just over an hour. There's the same guy did another video with somebody who thinks the market's going to keep going up. The gal he was talking to thinks it's going to be a worse crash than 2008. The video I'm going to share, it's really worth it. You should all listen to it. If I can find the other one, well worth the listens. Look, I think the problem with most people is they'll tell you what they think and they'll tell you they're sure that's what's going to happen. And the reality is none of us knows what's going to happen. We don't have any idea what's going to happen at all. We just don't. However, there are some good things that are happening, right? There's some good economic things that are going on. There are also some interesting things, like, for example, AI. You're starting to hear these ideas that AI is a bubble, right? Remember, we're an interview around in 2000 when the tech bubble burst.
Yes.
Yeah, the idea was they kept creating these companies and tell you they were making a ton of money when none of them were, like very few of them were. So it bust. Well, I saw some stat that says, AI is the same. Of every, there's only like for every 100 companies, only 5 of them are actually generating any revenue at all. 95% of all the other AI companies aren't generating any profitability. And so they feel like there's going to be a big AI correction. Although the gal mentioned she thinks that retirees are going to start retiring, so they're going to give us all this inventory that people are going to buy all these retired homes, and that's going to fill our inventory needs, things like that. She makes some good points. Do I think we're going to see a crash like 2008? I just have a hard time seeing it. I just have a hard time seeing that really it's going to be that bad. I know affordability is an issue. People can't afford things. I know that's a problem. I can see prices going down. It's hard for me to see it as drastic as what she sees. Reality is, do I think I can flip a house in the next 6 months? I do. Even in Arizona where it slowed down. The right house, the right repairs, I think I can flip it in 6 months. As long as I set it up where I'm not going to lose cash, then I can still do it. Do I think it's going to go through the floor in 6 months? No. And so I can do a 6 to 12 month analysis and then I can make my decisions. Do I play it a little more cautiously now? I do play it more cautiously. The house I wholesaled that I showed to you guys, if we hadn't slowed down, if this had been last year, I would have bought the house myself for 112 and then I would have put it on the MLS. It probably would have sold for 150, 160. That's what I would have done if we were a year ago. But now we're in this weird market where people are trying to figure out what's going on. You have all kinds of conflicting opinions. Interest rates are supposed to come down. How will that affect the market? We don't know. And so I am more cautious. I am careful. I do believe it can really go either way. How many of you, if you compared our affordability today to Canada's, who is more affordable, us or Canada?
I have no idea.
No idea.
Us by a lot. We are way more affordable. So I've heard people say, they're like, Eamon, the US, it has to have a correction. People can't afford homes. You have to have a correction. I said, look at Canada. Their affordability is almost 2 times as bad up in Canada. So when you say there has to be a correction, that's just not true. Economics doesn't always force, there's a lot of factors. And so it could continue to stay expensive and get more expensive. It could also turn around and it could drop. We're seeing some drops in some areas. But again, when people tell me it can't go up, I'm like, guys, it can go up, right? Economics doesn't care what you think. So I right now am still looking at projects 6, 7, 8 months out. I still think there's money to be made. I am more cautious. I am more careful. I would not do, but I've gotten very good at choosing the right properties, the right locations at the right prices. But I would be more cautious. I would be more careful. A lot of people are kind of getting anxious. But here's the other thing too, right? Anytime a market starts to go the other direction, people panic. What does that say about opportunities? Are there more or fewer when that happens?
More.
There are more opportunities. So, I knew guys, clear back in 2008, I didn't have my courage on me back then, right? I was still newer. I was young. was doing, I'd done quite a number of deals, but wasn't quite ready. I almost went out and bought up a bazillion homes in like 2009, 2010, right? Because I remember sitting down talking with my dad, said, Dad, you cannot build a house for the price they're selling right now. Like these are 30% of what it costs to build. I think we should buy up a lot of them. And I just didn't have the courage to pull the trigger. But it was good thinking on my part, right? But anyway, so yeah, we could have a crash. The idea is stay on top of your local markets, watch national news. Certainly a lot of things happening. A lot of people hate Trump, but what he's doing is actually so far good for the economy. He could still falter on the tariffs. They could crush us. But so far it's been good. So far it's been healthy. The way he's getting energy moving, he's now starting to focus on affordable housing. He's worked on trade deals. He's putting the cartels in their spot. There's a lot of things that are good for our economy and healthy for them. So that's all positive. But just like it takes years for some of the things for the previous president to play through, takes a couple for what Trump's doing to play through as well. So we'll see. But Melanie, that's a really wishy-washy answer. All I'm saying is there's money to be made the next 6 months. Pay close attention and remember what I said. You can lose your shorts in this business. It happens all the time. And so it's not a place for the weak-hearted or the weak-minded who don't do their research properly.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome. Any other questions? And thank you, Melanie. It was a beautiful question. It's something everybody's curious about. Watch Melanie, watch my Facebook post because I'll be posting that presentation I listened to and hopefully the other if I can find it. So, and Thursday we'll be talking about this very topic on Thursday. So
All right.
you're welcome.
Sounds good. Thanks.
All right.
Absolutely. You're welcome, Mark and Susan. All right, guys. I think we're good with questions.
All right.
You're welcome, Brenda. Bob, you're welcome. Jandra, I'll probably be doing my next phase 2 here in a couple of months. It'll probably be 2 or 3 months before I do that. I'll have a couple phase 1s finish out and then we'll do a phase 2. So I'd love to have you there. Yes, chicken noodle soup. I'll go get some right now. So,
All right.
all right, guys, God bless you all. Have a phenomenal evening and we'll
Yes.
see you next time.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.